Torres was the SUV the KGM brand effectively launched with, and this all-electric EVX version is a much more sophisticated take on this design. There's nothing particularly groundbreaking about the engineering on show here, but the styling certainly makes most rival mainstream models look bland. Considering a mid-sized EV crossover? Bet you haven't looked at this one, the KGM Torres EVX. Korean maker KGM must be extremely thankful for the EV revolution. It'll certainly help the company here that electric vehicle customers are less sensitive than their combustion predecessors would have been when it comes to investing in an unknown brand. They have to be, with new marques entering the European market now every few months. But here there's more. KGM is a rebranded name for the manufacturer that we used to know as SsangYong. The company only has a future because of a shared development deal with Chinese maker BYD, who mainly make EVs. Rather good EVs actually, which is why there's quite a spirit of optimism around KGM's UK importers when it comes to this car, the Torres EVX. This all-new mid-sized SUV first appeared with an old-school combustion engine, rather at odds with its futuristic looks. In battery form, the whole package seems far more complete. But complete enough to seriously consider? Take a closer look with the help of the usual comprehensive car and driving road test. It's fortunate that few Torres EVX customers will be even aware that at the time of this model's launch, KGM sold another EV in this market space, the Corando E-Motion. If you do happen to be aware of that underwhelming model, forget about it now and concentrate on this BYD engineered contender instead, because it's quite different. The Jeep-style rugged looks suggest some sort of dual-motor all-wheel drive setup, but nothing of that kind yet exists in a KGM showroom. Instead, the front axle offers a single 201 brake horsepower electric motor, energised by a 73.4 kWh battery, which, when fully charged, is apparently good for up to 287 miles. Goodness knows how much higher that figure would be if this Torres wasn't squarically sized and, like all EVs, weighed down by its battery like a proverbial brick. Obviously, you're going to need to engage the most frugal of the provided drive modes, Eco, to get anywhere near that range figure. An added incentive for doing so is that the other two settings, Comfort and Sport, induce wheel spin far too easily. Paddle shifters behind the steering wheel allow you to alter regenerative braking levels, and there are two selectable EV sounds available for the drivetrain, though they aren't much different from each other. Impressively, aided by 339 Nm of torque, the EVX version has the same 1500 kg brake towing capacity as the 1.5 litre combustion model, which is likely to be a major customer draw. Don't expect cutting-edge drive dynamics, but since when has any EV crossover of this kind offered that? You're likely to find this one predictable, solid and refined, with plenty of camera safety kit for the longer journeys that you might be tempted to take if you're not habitually afflicted with range anxiety. Damping is quite well judged, but the ride is a bit floaty. Don't expect off-road capability quite as good as the combustion model, but KGM claims competitive approach and departure angles, and these are aided by a tough chassis fashioned from 81% high tensile steel. More importantly, aided by the more prodigious 1.9 ton curb weight, the ride's a little more supple than it is with the combustion version. The 62 mph sprint from rest takes 8.1 seconds en route to 109 miles an hour. Powered by toughness is apparently the design philosophy behind this design, which is hardly a unique approach amongst SUVs, so it's quite refreshing to find that this car looks quite different to most of its rivals. The Torres is a little bigger than it appears in the pictures. The 4.7 metre length, about the same as a Nissan X-Trail or Skoda Kodiaq. There's a chunky profile too, with 1,720 millimetres of height and 1,890 millimetres of width. Lots of black plastic cladding and a contrasting D-pillar that flows up into the roof rails add finishing touches. And the kind of large 20-inch alloy wheels that you'd think a frugally focused EV wouldn't want are of a design unique to this model. KGM has decided to try and differentiate the look of this EVX Torres variant a little from the combustion version. The main change being the substitution of conventional headlights for an LED light bar. Of course, as with almost any electric vehicle, there's a blanked-off front grille in place of the Jeep-like slotted appendage of the combustion model. Plus, this EVX also does without the red towing hitch cover that marks out the front end of the regular Torres. What this EVX does retain from the combustion version are these rather curious bonnet grab handles. Goodness knows what those are for. More difficult to spot are the changes made to this EV version at the rear. Different tail lights and a revised lower skid plate panel, if you're interested. This large tailgate protrusion that both models share is presumably supposed to give a spare wheel kind of vibe. It's modern and minimalist inside, though the copper-coloured dash and console trimming of this test car won't be to everyone's taste. You view the twin panoramic instrument display through a 4-spoke flat-bottom steering wheel, and you're surrounded by metal accents, smart ambient lighting, and on top models like this one, leather upholstery, which all aim to create a luxurious, sophisticated vibe, embellished by smart copper-coloured stitching on the doors, the dash and the seats. Cabin fit and finish is vastly better than that of the old SsangYong models. It's not immediately obvious where the rather hidden starter button is, but once you've located it, you're seated with a wide, commanding view over the square bonnet, which is curiously framed at either side by exterior grab handles. There are rather too many chimes at start-up and ignition off, of the sort that higher volume Korean brands have learned that European customers don't like. The wide, slim dashboard houses a pair of 12.3-inch screens, the instrument display offered with 2 selectable formats, which can also be replicated on the centre screen. The central infotainment monitor displays with a choice of home screens. You can either have one with landscape backgrounds, which shows phone, audio and compass settings, or one with rows of little icons, which include the EV mode section that you'll need for charging info and charge settings. Unfortunately, this screen has inhaled all of the climate controls, which isn't ideal when you're driving and fishing around to change fan speed or temperature. Cabin storage space is quite generous. There's a box under the central armrest with a phone charging mat ahead of it, and cup holders and a phone cubby ahead of that. You get this large storage space beneath this jutting centre console, and there are cubbies in the centre stack with twin USB-C ports and a 12-volt socket below. KGM doesn't think that you need an overhead sunglasses compartment or sun visor ticket clips, and there are small door bins but a big glove box. Now, you might reasonably expect an SUV the length of an X-Trail or a Kodiaq to offer a third seating row. The Torres doesn't, which seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. Let's take a look in the rear. Once inside, back seat space is generous for a couple of adults, and those in the 2 outer seats will enjoy plenty of head and leg space. Plus there's a flat floor so that a third centrally seated adult could reasonably be easily accommodated if need be. You wouldn't expect an EV crossover to have a sliding rear bench, but you might hope that the backrest would recline. It doesn't here. There are some odd touches, these front seat headrest attachments, and some nice ones. Rear side window blinds, a small pocket within each seat back pocket for a phone, and switches on the side of the front passenger seat so that someone sitting behind it could slide that chair forward to create extra legroom should there be no passengers seated up front. Seat heating features back here on this top model, and there are two USB-C ports, plus a couple of central cubbies, overhead reading lights, an armrest with cup holders, and decently sized door bins. KGM also provides a rear seat sleep feature operated via the front central screen, which allows those at the front to turn off the rear audio speakers, allowing rear seat folk to more easily sleep on longer trips. Out back, the power-operated tailgate rises to reveal an extremely large boot, rated at 703 litres with the rear seats in place. There are recesses to the left and right, a 12-volt socket on the left and a single light on the right. There's not much space beneath the floor, certainly not enough for the kind of spare wheel that any SUV really ought to have. If you have two rear-seated passengers and you're wanting to carry long items like skis, those items will have to go on the roof because KGM doesn't provide either a ski hatch or a convenient 40-20-40 seat back split. Even more annoyingly, it doesn't provide cargo sidewall seat retraction catches either. So to flatten the rear seat back, which frees up to 1,662 litres of space, you'll need to stretch right forward to the seat shoulder catches or go around to the side of the car to operate them. Think in terms of a budget of just under £45,000 for a Torres EVX, which is a bit more expensive than you might have hoped, and about £5,000 to £8,000 more than the combustion model. There's a choice of two trim levels, K30 or, as in this case, K40. Either way, as expected, equipment levels are generous. There's 20-inch diamond cut alloy wheels, a 12.3-inch smart audio screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, and a rear view camera. Plus you get automatic dual zone air conditioning, a heated leather steering wheel, and TPU leather upholstery. There's also a 12.3-inch full digital instrument cluster, auto headlamps and wipers, and an electrochromatic rear view mirror. If you can stretch to this plusher version, you'll get premium leather seats and a smart powered tailgate, plus power folding mirrors, a wireless phone charger, and rear privacy glass. Now, there are some nice touches too. Parking is made safe and easy with the 3D 360-degree surround view monitoring system, while the driver can talk more comfortably with rear seat passengers thanks to an aided conversation mode. Now, those in the back can also take a rest during a long motorway journey by using the sleeper mode to prevent music emitting from the rear speakers. Usefully, KGM provides a vehicle-to-load connector that allows you to power appliances straight from the car's battery, say when you're camping and maybe need things like an electric heater, a microwave, or a coffee pot. Safety kit fitted across the range includes autonomous emergency braking, forward collision warning, rear cross traffic warning, front vehicle start alert, lane keeping assist, lane departure warning, trailer sway control, and a smart high beam system for the headlights. Plus there's emergency steering assist, driver attention warning, plus speed limit warning, and intelligent cruise control with intelligent speed control that'll adapt your speed to posted limits. If you want more, this top K40 model adds blind spot collision avoidance assist, reverse collision avoidance assist, rear end collision warning, and safe exit warning, which alerts passengers about to open their doors in the face of an oncoming vehicle or cyclist. We gave you the EV range figure in our driving section, 287 miles. A number beginning with 3 would have made this Torres a more competitive proposition in its segment, which KGM might have got near had it equipped this EVX with the 18-inch wheels of the combustion Torres rather than the bespoke 20-inch rims that customers of this variant have to have. The big 73.4 kilowatt-hour battery's DC charging rate, 145 kilowatts, isn't particularly noteworthy either, but at a rapid DC charger, you can still replenish most of the battery in 28 minutes. The center screen has a selectable EV mode section, which briefs you on charging info and charge settings. KGM wants to highlight that Blade battery's LFP lithium iron phosphate chemistry, which is far more receptive to continual fast charges than other chemistries. After 2,000 fast charge cycles, usable capacity will stay at more than 70%. As we said in our market section, another selling point is this KGM's V2L vehicle-to-load charging capability. This allows owners to charge external devices like laptops, lights, fridge, boxes, even theoretically another EV from the vehicle's drive battery. Whatever Torres model you decide upon, there's the peace of mind of KGM's 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty. You could make a case for seriously considering a Torres EVX, which was a lot more difficult to do with the brand's previous electric model, the Corando E-Motion. The range and charging stats are competitive, the cabin's practical, the looks are striking, and no one else on your street is likely to have one. Plus, unlike many of its competitors, it can tow a decent weight, though what that would do to the already slightly restricted EV range is open to question. Anyway, all of these attributes should be comfortably enough to shift the relatively small initial allocation of Torres EVX models bound for these shores. More wide-reaching success beyond that might be challenging for this car. The price is a little high. The overcrowded segment that it's competing in is already well populated by more established makers, and KGM's designers haven't helped the showroom staff by not including a 7-seat model in the range. Still, if you're looking for a rather different mid-sized EV crossover and like the Jeep Land Cruiser style vibe on show here, there might be something for you with this car. There's definitely nothing else quite like it.